A theological crisis is unfolding on the dirt of the Valley of Elah. This has invaded sacred geography. Into this space steps the Ish Habenyam, the man of the between. Goliath occupies the lethal threshold separating the armies. He is draped from head to toe in overlapping bronze scale armor. The ancient text codes him visually. He appears as a walking chaos monster, a predatory bronze serpent occupying the valley. His objective is a territorial and psychological invasion. He intends to conquer the nation's imagination and paralyze their will before a single weapon is ever thrown. The Israelite camp is paralyzed by an interpretive failure. Their imagination has collapsed, making their military resources irrelevant. Saul's closed empirical system calculates victory through visible metrics: Goliath's height, bronze, and spear weight. The math guarantees defeat. This is practical atheism. His operational decision-making, highlighted in red, completely excludes divine agency from the calculation. The narrative distinguishes between possessing the office of the king and performing the function of the king. Saul wears the crown and stands the tallest, but he refuses to protect his people. Instead, he outsources the representative risk he was chosen to bear. Because the leader is afraid, that fear spreads through the ranks like a contagion. A fully equipped institution will inevitably collapse when its leadership evaluates reality based on fear instead of covenant promises. David arrives from the margins. He enters the lethal space as an obedient son and a working shepherd, carrying the identity of a steward rather than a credentialed soldier. Standing before the monarch, David speaks the royal words Saul failed to say: "Let no man's heart fail." This is the grammar of faithfulness. David rejects the shallow optimism of positive thinking and instead roots his future confidence in the past perfect tense of God's prior deliverance. His uncredentialed wilderness formation taught him to steward and protect property that belonged to his father. It was the exact pedagogy required for kingship. David performs authentic kingship long before he receives a crown. He proves that legitimate authority flows from a willingness to restore the weak and serve the vulnerable. While the army sees an invincible military champion, David looks through his wilderness lens and sees a predator threatening God's flock. This shift in perception strips the giant of his mythological status. David reduces him to an uncircumcised Philistine, a finite creature standing outside of divine protection. David refuses Saul's armor because he rejects mimetic kingship. He refuses to imitate the enemy's model of worldly power to defeat them. David transforms the rules of engagement. He takes a military crisis and turns it into a pastoral rescue mission. Defeating a beastly, oppressive power requires a model of authority rooted in protection. You cannot win by simply building a heavier version of the empire's weapons. David steps into the void, using ordinary, creation-based tools. He pits smooth stones against Goliath's decreative metallurgy. The smooth stone sinks into Goliath's forehead. It is the head-crushing of the serpent promised in Genesis 3. The blunt force of the strike forces the giant into a posture of judicial prostration. He falls face down before the living God. David then severs Goliath's head, using the giant's own massive sword. This is a territorial exorcism. It eliminates Philistia's representative authority and cleanses the invaded sacred geography. The redemptive pattern is complete. The enemy's own weaponized arrangement, designed for enslavement, is reversed and used as the instrument of their defeat. David's descent into the valley is an act of representative exposure. He bears the danger so the nation can be delivered. Biblical kingship is a vocation of sacrificial protection, standing in opposition to the world's model of empirical domination. This historical triumph points towards its ultimate cosmic fulfillment, moving from the shepherd of Bethlehem to the eschatological horizon. This victory in the valley reveals the character of the greater Son of David, the Good Shepherd who willingly lays down his life to permanently crush the head of the final predator.